welcome you inside the Ken Sparks Show as Carson-Newman comes out victorious and snaps a two-game losing streak with a 42-7 stomping of the Catawba Indians. I'm Adam Cavalier, the voice of the Eagles, alongside the head coach of Carson-Newman's football team, Ken Sparks. First off, Coach, congratulations on what was a complete and dominating victory.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a stomping now. It was a hard-fought ball game. Great to see some of our guys respond in ways that we've been looking for them to respond. And I thought the difference in our football team was that we were in attack mode the whole ball game on both sides of the ball, even with the kicking game, even though the kicking game didn't dominate in a couple of phases like we wanted to. But overall, a whole lot better overall team performance than we've had this year.
Well, you go against the number 6 rush defense in the nation coming into that contest, the number 8 scoring defense in the nation for Catawba coming into that contest, and you put up more rushing touchdowns than they had allowed all season. You put up more rushing yardage in the first quarter than they were allowing all season. What was the key offensively to get going against that solid defense?
Well, one thing that helped tremendously was defense gave us field position. And the kicking game gave us field position to start with, and that always helps. And the second thing that helped was, I think the offense was still carrying some leftover from the week before of not performing at a few times when they needed to, and the other key to it was the offensive coaches. Coach Turner did an unbelievable job putting a game plan together, and I didn't make many calls this ball game, so that made it better. And they really had a good overall performance.
How did you challenge the team in terms of using their faith to come out and rebound from the Wingate loss?
Well, we talked about it a whole lot about the fact that that you've got to have some consistency in your life. You got to have consistency as a football player if you're going to get it done. If everything's based on what somebody else does or what happens to you, out here, then you're always going to be responding. You're going to be a responder and not a difference maker. And so you got to not live your life based on what somebody else does or what something happens. You got to it's what you are in here that's eventually going to decide all those things. And to me, in here, when you talk about heart, and what I'm talking about is the heart of Christ, because that's the only heart that matters. I mean, it's the only one that holds up. It's the only one that's real. And and you either got that one or you don't have that one. You can't pretend that one. And there's not a bunch of fancy words that you can say to blow that one over. You either got it or you don't. And so I think our guys responded to that very, very well all week. What a great defensive performance, and very exciting to see a defense. I think we held them to the net about 150 yards, didn't we? Total. Mm-hmm. Gosh, whoever heard that in a college game nowadays? To hold somebody at 150 yards. That's what you used to dream about back in the days when it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. But we're very grateful for that.
We'll talk about those 150 yards allowed in the first half highlights when we return after this on the Ken Sparks Show. Back on the Ken Sparks Show, I'm Adam Cavalier alongside Carson-Newman's head coach, Ken Sparks. The Eagles victorious over Catawba, 42-7, and with the lead at the locker room, 21-7. Coach Sparks, you score on your first 3 possessions. But on the flip side, the defense also holds Catawba to 3 straight 3-and-outs to start the game.
Huge.
How on earth do you stop an offense that had put up 500 yards the previous week against UNC Pembroke?
I don't know. Coach Hester was Chip Hester, their head football coach, which is a quality man, the kind of people we need in the coaching profession. He was very upset after the ball game, and I think he didn't feel like he got much effort out of them. And I do think a lot of it, though, was because of our start. I think we started so strong on both sides of the ball. that it took a little bit of hope away from them. And so, you know, you get somebody, any of us, we lose our hope, we've lost our driving power. And so I think, well, the defense was unbelievable how they responded. And those first 3 possessions and the way the offense responded, and then start the second half. Our first possession on defense, our first possession on offense was huge. You know, we got our first interception, and the offense takes it right down and scores. And so both, you know, the first 5 minutes of each half is critical. And Coach Clowney and the defensive coaches really, I think they took a deep breath of relief after that ball game, because they finally felt like that the kids executed the game plan that they'd put together. They've put together some great plans, but there hadn't been much fruit. And so this one was a fruitful night, a fruitful day for everybody.
There was at one point in the second quarter, after the first 6 possessions, where you were outgaining Catawba 170 yards to 3 and outpossessing them 20 minutes to 3 minutes, roundabouts. What does that sort of fast start? You've gotten to fast starts in every game. You've scored on your first possession
offensively
in every game with the exception of Wingate. How crucial is that?
Well, it's key. Just like I say, the first 5 minutes of each ball game. I think we don't understand now, especially nowadays with the tenderness of thinking with kids. You know, that you know, they're just it's critical that they see some results right off the bat. And it's a shame that it's that way, but, you know, think about all their technology games that they play. You know, every one of them, you got to have some instant success or you get bored. And so, you know, I think that's just the way the world has got us conditioned to think. Tough-mindedness is not what it used to be. And so, come on, keep us going. Somebody said use a secret to it, so whatever that is, you keep us going.
Oh, that person must be a liar or something. I don't know what I'm doing. Carson-Newman with the lead at the break, 21-7, and we take a look at the instant success. 3 touchdowns on the first 3 drives. Here are your first half highlights.
Douglas on the left and Baker on the right with 3 wide. Haywood comes up passing down the near hash into the end zone. It's complete to Jason Brown. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. Brandon Haywood finds Brown on a streak down the near hash, and he scores for the Eagles. Carson-Newman goes quick. Haywood under center in the split back veer. Dives left. He's in. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. Brandon Haywood with his second score of the day, 1 through the air, 1 on the ground, and the Eagles lead at 13-0 over Catawba. Freeman on the right, handoff goes to Hibbett on the dive left. Hibbett fighting his way forward. He's across the 5, the 3, the 2, the 1. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. Andy Hibbett carries Corey Johnson into the end zone. 3 wide receivers on the field, 2 to the near side, 1 up top. Sherrill back to pass on the play action. Doesn't fool Will Alderman. He's bolted down in the backfield for a sack. Will Alderman comes free and drops Sherrill for a loss back at the 35. Sherrill, no step drop. Comes up throwing near side. Complete to Hodges at the 10. Hodges spins his way left down the near sideline and squirts his way into the end zone. Tankersley with his big boot back in the backfield. Charest deep to receive. No rush as Tankersley. It's off a solid kick to Charest that he receives at the 6. Charest with space along the far sideline. Charest stutter stepping his way, and he's blown up out of bounds by Andy Hibbett.
Those are your first half highlights. Carson-Newman with the lead at the break over Catawba, 21-7. And Coach, you take that lead into the break. Teams have made pushes on you in the second half. How did you, put the boot on the throat and just keep Catawba down?
Well, we talked about that a whole lot. The fact is, I was hollering that just as soon as we got in. We normally have offensive coaches and defensive coaches have, meetings, and kids take care of their needs, get water, do whatever they need to do, their adjustments, and then we meet at certain spots, offense and defense. And so I bypassed the coaches' segments, which I normally do, and went straight into where our meeting space was and put them all in the same room, and then started talking about where we were, and I was bragging on, was excited about it, and they could tell I was excited. And the fact is, some of them thought I'd kind of gone nuts a little bit, and then we talked about how we was going to start the second half, and that was my halftime instead of me helping with X's and O's much, because I thought the X's and O's was going pretty good, and we just talked about let's reinforce what we're doing, and let's do it better the second half, and let's take this first 5 minutes and do it, just like we ended up the first half.
What was the most impressive point of the first half? Is there something that stands out, that because you were solid all around? Was there something that's really that you're proud of?
Well, I think the possession time was which means that we were blocking and tackling. We only had one play, I think, over 20 yards the first half, and I think that was Brandon Baker's run, and otherwise, except for the touchdown pass to Jason Brown, it was crunch, and that means you're blocking the line of scrimmage.
You bring up the long play. It's actually Baker's run, the 40-yarder, came in the second half.
Oh, did it?
And Brown's touchdown catch was the only 20-yard play of the first half. You had two plays longer than 20 yards. It's the first game this season where you haven't had at least a 60-yard play. I mean, how is that surprising that you were able to be that dominant without the home run ball, but you're still picking up a 42-7 win?
Yeah, I think it was one of the keys to keeping the ball away from them. I think we did a great job of controlling the line of scrimmage, and that's the secret. What's up front usually matters.
Carson-Newman with the lead at the half, 21-7 over Catawba, picking up the victory 42-7, and we break down the second half after this. Back on the Ken Sparks Show, Carson-Newman with a 21-7 lead at the half and victorious over Catawba, 42-7. I'm the voice of the Eagles, Adam Cavalier, alongside Carson-Newman's head coach, Ken Sparks. Coach Sparks, you turn around second half, and hey, look what you found, an interception. First one of the season. Sean Rawson picks one off and returns at 19 yards against Catawba to stop what looked to be a solid drive for Catawba.
It was.
A, you get your first interception of the season. B, it comes at a critical moment. How happy are you to finally pick off a pass?
Well, it was great. If you'd seen the celebration on the sideline, I thought they were going to beat poor old Sean to death, and it was a tremendous high for us, and so we celebrated the moment big time.
You've talked about faith before, but you finally get one of those moments. How much do you say, hey, we're blessed when something like that happens?
Well, I'm not sure, Adam, that we're blessed to be breathing. We're blessed to be have an opportunity to be in a learning laboratory like a football field. Think about how many people would give anything to be able to play college football, and but it was I don't know about for them, but for me it's a spiritual high. I can tell you right now, it was a rejoice time for me for us to get a pick, and it was kind of interesting. The play before, I actually hollered, "Let's get a turnover," and then walked down the other end, and the fact is, I nudged somebody and I said, "Watch this, we're going to get a turnover," and sure enough, we got that one. That was great.
You got pressure on the quarterback
We
all
did.
day long too. 3 sacks. What'd you do to get into the backfield?
Well, I just think we had a little bit better attack mentality as a football team. I think all the way through, and I think our guys were, and you're exactly right. The 150 yards started with the defensive pressure up front, and Catawba gave up pretty quick on the run game, and so what was left was throwing it, and so our guys was laying their ears back, and most of the time it was a 4-man rush, and so Deshaun and Javaris, the Neal brothers, we call them Big and Little Brother Neals, and Sabali, those guys just laid their ears back and came, and it was super for us.
Oh, Carson-Newman, takes it over Catawba 42-7, and we take a look at the second half highlights, both a turnover, some sacks, and the Eagles take it 42-7 over the Indians.
The Eagles on top and with the football. Split back veer for Carson-Newman. Haywood under center with Douglas on the left and Baker on the right. A man in motion. Brown comes to the near side of the field. Haywood on the handoff, right side for Brandon Baker. Baker takes it up the middle, breaks a tackle at the 40. Baker rolling his way down the near sideline. He's at the 35 and 20, the 15 and 10, and Baker stopped inside the 5, down at the 3-yard line. Second and goal from the 1 for Carson-Newman. Haywood under center in the split back veer. Haywood, the keeper, left side. No signal yet. Did he get in? Yes! Touchdown, Carson-Newman! First and goal from the 8, like Roger said. Haywood under center with Douglas on the left and Baker on the right. Keith Reed, the tight end, in motion to the right side of the formation. Eagles by 21. Handoff on a trap right, Douglas. Douglas around the right side of the line. He goes untouched for 6. Touchdown, Carson-Newman! The tailback 7 yards off the ball, a wide out each way. Sherrill fakes the handoff. Pressure coming from the backside, and Carson-Newman with the sack. Bash brother number 2, Zach Fleming. Thomas fakes the handoff to Baker, jets over the left side of the formation. Thomas into space. He's across the 10 and the 5. Thomas reaches the end zone. Touchdown, Carson-Newman. The freshman out of Milledgeville, Georgia, scores his first TD in an Eagle uniform, and Carson-Newman takes a 41-7 lead over Catawba.
Carson-Newman with the win over Catawba 42-7. We step out for a break and return with our Eagle Spotlight on Jacob Coleman. That's after this. Welcome back on the Ken Sparks Show. Each week, Roger Hoover puts the Eagles spotlight on a particular Carson-Newman player, and this week we shine it on the Eagles' leading tackler, Jacob Coleman.
The 2012 season got off to a fast start for Carson-Newman football. A 56-46 win over Glenville State, the 300th win for Coach Ken Sparks, and for Jacob Coleman, an exhilarating fumble recovery that led to a 61-yard return for a touchdown.
That was one of the most exciting plays in my career so far. It was great. I was expecting him to run the drag, and then right when I seen it, I just kind of came and hit him, and the ball just popped loose. So.
The Norton, Virginia native is now in his junior season at Carson-Newman. After finishing 4th on the team in tackles last year, the linebacker now leads the way for all Eagle tacklers with 35 through the first 4 games. Coleman also led Carson-Newman with 8 tackles against Lenore-Rhine, stopping a talented Bears option offense.
The quarterback makes all the reads off the man on the end of the line of scrimmage and make it off of me. So it was real fun. I got to play around with the quarterback and make him make some bad decisions every once in a while.
Despite some early adversity, Coleman says he is proud of this Eagle defensive unit this season.
Sometimes we give up a big play, but we always come back and we always stay fighting. Like, we never give up, and we get a lot of people to the ball. Everybody's hungry out there.
Coleman had several options coming out of high school, yet felt most at home at Carson-Newman.
When I was getting recruited out of other schools, there was some guys that played here the year before that played at one of my rivalry schools in high school, and they came and told me it was the Humphrey brothers. There were twins that played linebacker here, and they came and talked to me, and I came for a visit. I fell in love with the campus and the people and the coaches.
Coleman says the entire defense enjoys playing for defensive coordinator and linebackers coach Mike Clowney.
You can tell that his heart's still in the game, and playing for a former All-American that's been in these shoes and wore the same helmet that I wore is great. And he knows exactly the situations that I'm going through, and he's a good mentor.
Coleman also appreciates the support from the Carson-Newman family that he says the team receives outside the gates of Berktar Stadium.
Well, everybody out there, they love to win, and the coaches, they love to win. That means a lot, but it's not as much as the players' well-being, and it's very comforting, especially being away from home. You actually have somebody that cares for you.
Coleman says he is working hard to be a better leader for the Eagles this season, helping the team get back near the top of the sack standings.
Just keep getting better. Every day, when you go out to practice, you get a good chance to increase your ability and become better every day. And I think that's the main thing we got to keep working on. We got to get to our max potential.
For the Ken Sparks Show, I'm Roger Hoover.
Thank you very much, Roger. And Coach, you think about a kid like Jacob Coleman, taking the reins of the defense. What's he done as a leader for this Carson-Newman football team?
Well, Jacob wasn't very comfortable with that.
Yep.
And then he was elected to the player committee, and and I think the trip to the Navy SEALs headquarters, I think, was very meaningful to Jacob. I think it showed him that leadership is not standing up and talking necessarily. It's leading by example, and Jacob is a great example person. He works hard. He's improved tremendously since he's been here. He's a very, very good high school football player in Norton, Virginia. Mom is on the school board in Norton, Virginia, and Jacob's had some battles since he's been here, and he's had to battle through some. I've had to spank him a couple of times, but he's fun to be around. I love Jacob Coleman, and I can't wait to see what all the Lord's going to do with Jacob in his life.
It seems like each week when I talk to him, he grows a little bit as a person.
I think so. I think his progress has probably been as evident as anybody on our football team.
Well, Coach, you turn around and it's homecoming. You try to capitalize on the victory over Catawba with a game against North Greenville. A, what are the challenges do the Crusaders pose? And B, what's an event like homecoming mean for Carson-Newman?
Well, I think homecoming is always a special time. There's always a great group of alumni that show up, and especially alumni football players. And I think we're having a 72 team that played for the national championship, the first team that played for the national championship. Coach Dow Shealy and that bunch is going to be here, and I was coaching on that team, and so it's going to be great to be around that bunch. But homecoming has always been a great event at Carson-Newman. It'll be a big crowd. It'll be all kinds of stuff going on, and I hope that we play well enough to keep their interest. The disadvantage, to keep their interest, because the disadvantage is they're so busy talking to all their buddies up there that sometimes they don't see the game. But it's a special time, and North Greenville is going to be a very, very, they're coming off a playoff experience last year, and they just beat Newberry, and not many people have beat Newberry this year, and so they're probably hitting a confidence point at the wrong time for us, but we look forward to playing them.
Coach Sparks, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it.
Carson-Newman head football coach Ken Sparks. This has been the Ken Sparks Show. I'm Adam Cavalier. Thanks for watching.